All right, thank you everyone for coming to our cryptocurrency panel today. My name is Jeff Neumeister. I'm the founder and managing partner of Neumeister Associates, and also a faculty member here at Woodbury University. Cryptocurrency has been around for a decade now, plus, right? But it's only become somewhat mainstream in just like the last 5 or so years. So part of the point of the panel today is for us to kind of talk about cryptocurrency, where it's been, and particularly where it's going. So the first about 60 minutes is going to be just a panel discussion, and then after that, we're going to open up the floor for some Q&A. Right? So if I don't hit on any of your questions, please do save it for the end, and then right afterwards, we'll go back out to the atrium for a catered reception and some giveaways. Right? So make sure you checked in to get your raffle ticket. I'm going to go ahead and start off with introducing our panelists. First up is Abhi Soomani. Abhi is a senior associate at Neumeister Associates and a managing partner at Crypto International, India's first tax consultancy firm that specializes in assisting clients with tax calculations for crypto investments. Crypto International has its footprints in Dubai as well as the US, making it a multinational company. Crypto International is currently working on creating a global crypto tax software to essentially become a one-stop solution for crypto tax compliance. Abhi specializes in cryptocurrency taxes and has been assisting investors since 2017. He earned his MBA in finance and accounting from here. Also has a master's degree in commerce and a professional certification in financial modeling and business valuations. He is a content contributor at Pocket Experts Solutions, which is a management consulting company for professionals to share their knowledge based upon their expertise. He has also been a speaker at several global summits and panels discussing the growth and scalability of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Abhi, coming up. Our next panelist is Eric Detman. He's currently an advisor at CryptoSlam, an NFT data platform startup. Mark Cuban is actually a pre-seed investor. He's also a member of Bored Ape Yacht Club and is an NFT pragmatist, collecting NFTs since 2018 and crypto since 2017. He's also a former entertainment industry professional, having worked at 20th Century Fox, Disney, and others. Eric? Next up, Ilya Osovets. He is an experienced programmer, solutions architect, creative, and consultant in the blockchain, crypto, and Web3 space. Alongside numerous years of working in blockchain and crypto for companies such as Oracle, Fireblocks, Binance, and BNB, his experience has spanned into cybersecurity, application development, cloud technologies, and implementations in NFTs and the arts. He's currently working on a new implementation in the safety and cybersecurity of crypto, as well as guiding initiatives in music, gaming, and innovative approaches to Web3 marketplaces. Ilya? Our last panelist, Harar Oganessian. He's a CPA with a background in accounting, tax, financial auditing, and technology. Having graduated from CSUN with a BA in accounting, he then worked at Ernst & Young's external audit service line for over 2 years before transitioning to corporate public accounting at Everbridge, which is a critical emergency communications SaaS company. During his time outside of work, he likes to follow the capital markets, news, and trends, invest in real estate, and learn about crypto mining through his LLC, #Labs, which takes on cryptocurrency mining rig contracts. Welcome, gentlemen. To kick us off, let's start with what kind of spurred this panel discussion in the first place. Abhi wrote a book on cryptocurrency. So Abhi, maybe tell us a little bit about what led you to doing that.
So to start with, cryptocurrency and blockchain overall, there's so much information out there on the internet that, it might confuse readers and newcomers in the crypto space. So what I thought is when I was doing my own research and learning about it myself, I penned everything down, and everything that's important for newcomers or people who just want to get started with the cryptocurrency space can read this book and know exactly what they need to know to kickstart with their crypto journey pretty much. So it includes, basic tokens that you need to know about the blockchain space, what are the benefits of it, and everything that will basically give them a kickstart information guide on what they need to know. Yeah.
Awesome. That's all good reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let me open this question up to the panel, because our audience and viewers, this is being recorded, come from a lot of different backgrounds when it relates to their cryptocurrency understanding. Let's start with the very fundamentals. What is cryptocurrency?
Okay, so I'll go first. So cryptocurrency, okay, first let me give a little bit of background where I came from in the cryptocurrency. So I was studying here at Woodbury, and one of my colleague or co-MBA guys just told me, have you heard about cryptocurrency? I'm like, no, I haven't. And he's like, well, it's the new money. So I started researching about it, and I realized that, if you try to send, money from one bank to another, how much time does it take for the money to actually reach? T+2 days at minimum. Now, what cryptocurrency does is essentially allows you to send that money within a few minutes. So that's one of the benefits of cryptocurrencies. Now, cryptocurrencies is basically, they're token companies that essentially kind of work like IPOs, and they raise money for their projects, and that project can be solving any purpose. So that's pretty much what the token does of the cryptocurrency. So crypto tokens is where cryptocurrencies come from. And each cryptocurrency has its own solution that it comes with. So maybe, you guys could also pitch in so every token, for example, what in my experience is that, for example, Bitcoin, it was one of the first cryptocurrencies that came out and came out with its own use cases. Then came Ethereum, so that's another cryptocurrency, but Ethereum gave birth to a lot of use cases, for example, NFTs.
Right. So cryptocurrency, I think, is kind of a misnomer in a sense, because with Ethereum in particular, I don't even see it as a currency. I see it as it's basically a ledger that confirms ownership and transactions out in the open. It's a piece of software more than a currency. And that's my appeal to cryptocurrency, are the blockchains that don't have to do with currency necessarily, but advancing technology and the next version of the internet.
So that's basically what the blockchain does, essentially helps store data, helps you to make transactions, helps it make it more authentic, and adds more legitimacy.
Right, and kind of proves what transaction occurred when. Which with your bank, if you were to argue with your bank about a missed deposit, you have no idea what their systems look like. With Ethereum, every transaction is on the blockchain. So anyone, and you can mine it. If you follow me on Twitter, you know my Ethereum address, and you could ostensibly look up every token I have, every NFT I have. It's all public for the most part. And some people don't like that, but for me, what I own is what I own, and I like knowing that I own it and being able to see it, whether it's a currency token or an NFT.
And one of the perks that I feel the blockchain space is that you cannot edit that information. Like when you look at bank statements in the accounting space, we look at it a lot. Like there's, you can literally, for example, the books of a company, you can edit the numbers. But in the blockchain space, you cannot change anything. Once a transaction is made, you cannot delete it, you cannot edit the numbers, nothing, and it's an open database. So that's another use case of the blockchain, I would say, like Eric mentioned.
And Ilya, I think you had a comment?
You guys hear me okay? Cool. I think the question is, what is cryptocurrency? And a cryptocurrency is a use of blockchain. A lot of people forget the fact that there's blockchain and then there's cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a way to exchange value in the digital realm. That's really as simple as that. There are other benefits that you have, such as what you guys said, but if we distill it down, the basics are it's a way to exchange value in the digital realm.
And can you hear me? Great. So let's break down what is crypto. So there's a lot of general understandings in general population. When it says what is crypto, okay, and crypto could be an investment vehicle, right? You could day trade crypto. You can invest in it for your retirement. You can mine crypto. You can purchase NFTs. There's a lot of uses of crypto, almost that has become the new internet. There's a lot of ways to integrate and create decentralized applications. And Abhi actually did touch on a few good points. Given my background in accounting, I actually wanted to pursue some engagements in cryptocurrency auditing because all of the information is unmodifiable. It's available in the public space, and you're able to do auditing functions across that. And because of that, I just find it to be a fascinating space in the combination of finance and technology.
So touching on some things that, let's say, adjacent to cryptocurrency, NFTs. Eric, I understand your background is pretty involved in this space. First off, what are NFTs, and what is the current and future use case for them?
So an NFT stands for non-fungible token. You may have heard a bit about it in the news. Basically, it's a token is a receipt that you own this spot on the blockchain ledger. This transaction, this token is yours if it's in your wallet. I got into NFTs in 2018, something called MLB Crypto. It was, they had a stadium giveaway at Dodger Stadium where they advertised the first, how did they describe it? The first crypto bobblehead. And there was like any stadium giveaway, there was 50,000 of these little cards with a QR code on the back and 16 words, which were your wallet phrase that you needed to access this digital collectible. And after that, I got one of those, and then I realized there was a game associated with it. It was basically daily fantasy baseball, but with little bobblehead characters that you could set in a lineup and try and, the better you did, the more rare attributes, bats, and gloves you would have. And it just became a collecting game. It reminded me of my childhood. And I'm like, you know what? This is really fun. It being on the blockchain allows you to buy and sell these very freely, much easier than buying a sports card on eBay and trusting somebody to send the card that you paid for. Buying these collectibles allowed you to do it seamlessly within minutes and play this game.
Every time I hear non-fungible, I feel like it involves fungus for some reason. I think it's important to understand that NFTs are a protocol that uses the blockchain. It's important to define, right? Just like cryptocurrency uses a blockchain. So it secures the permissions or rights to a certain asset.
Thank you. And let's talk a little bit about how mining incorporates it with what we're talking about, the cryptocurrency and the blockchain.
So I think that's my expertise on this panel. So I'm the mining, we have the entrepreneur, we have NFTs, and we have blockchain sciences and cybersecurity. So mining, whoa, what a ride. I don't know if you all remember last year, mining was just absolutely insane. There was a global chip shortage due to COVID-19 and NVIDIA's chip shortage, and as well as AMD's. So demand was very high last year. And because of that, there was an extremely high ROI, return on investment, on the GPUs that you purchased, almost less than 1 year. They make their money back. And what is mining? What is cryptocurrency mining? There's the mining that I associate with is proof of work. You use a piece of hardware with the input of electricity, which is getting more expensive day by day, to solve algorithms, and in order to beat your competitors to earn the reward, whenever you solve a transaction to prove a transaction between point A and point B, you have miners in the ecosystem that compete to solve the transaction first. So if you have a much more powerful cryptocurrency hardware farm, you have a good ping, as in you are very close to the server, you are most likely to generate a lot more income as compared to the rest of your competitors. Also, the main input of electricity is proving to be an issue in terms of the environment. So far, Ethereum has switched over to proof of stake in order to combat that. But I feel like in today's society, there's a lot more solutions than just using coal-burning electricity or gas like that. And in order to solve the blockchain in order to make finance sustainable. So I'm really glad about the new developments that are occurring, and I hope to pursue that in the future as well.
And can you add to that? What's just for those that don't know, what is proof of work versus proof of stake?
Excellent question. So proof of work, in my opinion, is not opinion, but it is basically where you prove the work by contributing towards the blockchain by solving an algorithm. And that algorithm is basically a mathematical equation that's extremely long, and you use your high-powered GPUs with the input of electricity in order to solve that equation and in order to earn that reward, aka Bitcoin or Ethereum a few months ago. And then proof of stake is where it's a lot more risky, in my opinion. I don't really try to pursue it. I think there's a lot of scams that are out there that, you know, you can lose your money in an instant if you don't know what you're doing or if it's not reputable. So I exercise caution when doing proof of stake, and I don't think it's as secure because it is proof of stake, it's over the cloud, and it can be subject to a 51% attack or some other issues like that where it might affect your, you know, your coins that you're delegating or your staking. So in general, always exercise a lot of caution. None of us here are giving any investment advice. Please, please, please do your own research. Don't jump right in just because your friends mentioned, oh, I'm staking right now, I'm getting 100% interest rate. Okay, let's be real. Like 100% interest rate in 1 year, are you kidding me? There's no way. So please, please, please do your own research. Don't be fooled by the fancy big numbers, and be careful because it is your money. And you know, you worked very hard for it, so just be very careful with it.
Well, let's take that a little bit further. So one of the question that is a repeated question on our registration list is, how does somebody get into the space? How do you get into trading? And what do you look out for? For example, to avoid a scam versus a hack, like how do you engage in due diligence?
I feel that there's a lot of research that goes in, like a lot of it. You look at all their social media handles, you look at the white paper. White paper is like the Bible of every cryptocurrency. So, you know, you look into that, see what the company does, what's the problem that they're solving. Actually, before we get there, I also want to touch base on something that Eric was mentioning about NFTs. Now, when I thought of NFTs before I actually met Eric, you know, everyone, before getting into NFTs, they think that it's just a digital picture that you can pretty much take a screenshot and save it on your phone. But that's not it. NFTs, I believe, are going to be taking marketing to the next level. Like, for example, if I personally have an NFT, and now what's happening in the industry is that NFTs are being used, the IP of the NFT that's linked with that NFT is being used with major brands just for marketing purposes. So, for example, if there's a product, my NFT can be, you know, printed on that product, and because I have the IP on the blockchain, I pretty much get royalties on all sales. So that's amazing. That's like the next level of marketing that I don't think anyone might even think of. And when I heard about it, I was mind blown about it. So I think that's what the next is in the NFT space.
Yeah, with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is kind of what propelled owning the actual license to that whatever image was on the NFT. You know, they've attracted, you know, Snoop Dogg and Eminem, who now have a music video with their apes of the Bored Ape Yacht Club because they own those rights. Somebody else got a partnership with Mars Candy and have their apes on a box of M&Ms. It's branding and it's so much more.
And I'd buy it. If I see a Bored Ape on that, I'll just buy it. Even if I don't need it, I'll still buy it. So that's what I feel is the next step in NFT, just marketing. Like, you know, I wish I had one of the Bored Apes. I would have IP'd it too. Like, and for anyone who wants to get into cryptos, I feel that you must do a lot of research. Like, if you feel that you're done researching, no, you're not. You got to do more. And, you know, what you need to look for is pretty much who's the team behind the company, because essentially cryptocurrencies are basically these token companies that are selling tokens, and it's kind of like an IPO. So when you buy cryptocurrencies, essentially you're buying stock of a company. Look at it in that way. Now, you want to know what the company does, what is the problem that they solve. You know, who are the backers? Who are the early investors? And does it even solve a real-life problem, or does that project even make sense? Because you cannot just think that, oh, okay, fine, so if the project is going to go up, like everyone is saying that you'll probably double up your money in a month. That's not enough research. You need to know what exactly is going on with the projects.
Yeah, and going back to the like how to avoid being scammed, the best way is to just treat it as you're being your own bank. Too many people enter the space, and it's still not easy to create a cryptocurrency wallet, but it's getting easier, and younger kids familiar with the internet can do it pretty easy. Like when I created my first wallet in 2018, I had no idea what I was doing. I probably lost 3 to 4 ETH just setting up wallets incorrectly and sending it to wrong addresses. It was a whirlwind. It's a bit easier now, but the best thing you got to do to just know how serious you are with a wallet. It's like you're your own bank. It is daunting, but there are services out there, wallet services, that make it a little bit easier to navigate the crypto and Web3 space. But you're also giving up some of your, what would you say, some of your
Security.
ownership. Yeah,
Security is
and security, yeah. You know, it's a secure, it's a more secure option for some people who don't want to have, don't want to be responsible for. I had a buddy who just recently lost his seed phrase, which a seed phrase is basically a long password to your account. And after losing that seed phrase, everything in his wallet is just stuck there. You know, tens of thousands of dollars. It was a dumb mistake, but that being in this space requires you to think as if you're being your own bank.
So having said that, because it can be very daunting, right? So if someone says, "Oh, I was told I need to read all these white papers and do all this research," that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
An alternative to that, would it be safe to say, as a panel, to just kind of stick with what they read about? It's tried and true, the Bitcoins and so to speak.
Yeah, so for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum can be looked at as blue chip securities, in my opinion. You will not end up losing all your money, hopefully not, but with a few new token companies, it has happened in the past that value goes from $200 to almost zero, which is why reading the white paper is a must, I would say. And another thing that I would add on to what Eric was saying about wallets is that having your cryptocurrencies, if you start investing, for example, if you're starting off, Coinbase is a good platform. It's safe enough, and if you're not investing so much of money, Coinbase is a good go-to platform. But if you're looking at wallets, I've experienced a lot of clients coming up to me and telling me that they lost their tokens in hacks. So there's 2 types of wallets. There's online and offline wallets. So I recommend Ledger Nano. That's the offline wallet. That's the safest you can use, in which it's like a thumb drive. You need you need phrases. There's 24 words that you need to use before you access the tokens, and that is more safer than an online wallet versus which can get hacked. But again, this is too technical. It might be easy to create today, but for beginners, I would say just stick to the basics like Coinbase. It's a good platform in my opinion.
Ellie?
I think just start playing around with stuff. You can actually get like tokens that are not worth anything, like testnets and stuff like that, and play around with it and send it to your friends, and they're worth nothing. And if you lose like your private key or security keys, seed phrases, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like actually get this question a lot: how do I get into crypto? I don't know about investing. Because investing, you have to do a lot of due diligence. You really have to understand what the utility of the token and the business is. Like you said, I think that's a little bit of a deeper question. But if it's just general, how do you get into crypto and how you start playing around with it? You can download a wallet and download some tokens that were worth nothing, send them to your friends, and actually see how it works. It does exactly the same thing. So you won't lose any money. I think for me, it's always been like that. Even at my stage of work where I'm working with large companies, I've always suggested that go play around with it, build something, So even with somebody just brand new to the space, you can download a wallet to your phone and just see what it is and what the tokens are. And that's really like the way you can get involved in it. You don't necessarily have to buy anything, but just open up a wallet and see what it looks like,
So I had a thought in regards to investing in crypto. So, I mean, the simplest investment, Coinbase stock, Robinhood stock. Why not invest in the platform rather than the currency itself? Obviously, not financial advice, obviously, but that's just my thought just to start with. And in terms of another investment in crypto, I mean, there's cryptocurrency mining machines. They'll generate your return and then some. At the end, you just have a residual gravy earning generating machine that has already paid off. All you have to do is input electricity and maintenance. And in terms of other cryptocurrencies out there and tokens out there, assess risk. I would say number one. If there's a cryptocurrency like Kitty Coin you've never heard of, I mean, just invest what you're willing to lose in that. Were you okay with losing or not touching for the foreseeable future? Be very, very, very careful when it comes to that. Be careful of the gas fees. If you're paying 50% in gas fees to buy a token, you must be very, very confident that currency is going to explode. I would say assess risk there. Be careful of all there's pancake swaps and all these different conversions and all that. Be careful. One wrong letter, one wrong address sent, your money's gone. And if you're taking out a second mortgage on your house to buy some kitty coin, I mean, come on. Yeah, you don't want to, jeopardize your entire livelihood. I mean, there's people out, look it up. There's people out there that literally lose their entire fortune because they listen to their next door neighbor, John, who made a killing in kitty coin. So be very, very careful, I would say. Just, don't go all in, assess risk.
Real quick, Gerard, you mentioned gas fees. Can you explain what that is for those that don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So gas fees is the fee that's paid to the miner for the transaction you're doing. So gas fees are variable depending on volume. If there's a lot of volume going on, more demand, more supply. More demand means more higher premium that you have to pay to have a transaction. And there's some cryptocurrencies out there that only rely on a very select few bases in order to do that conversion. And they charge astronomical gas fees sometimes. I mean, is it worth it, losing half your money to buy crypto that might go up? Maybe. Might be the next lotto billionaire, who knows? But still, I mean, 99, if you go on Coinbase, CoinMarketCap, I think it's a company. I don't know what their market capitalizations under 100,000 are right now, but a lot of them are just, crap. So be very careful with that, and gas fees. Be very mindful and wary of that. There's a website that tells you the current gas fee for Ethereum. I don't remember the website, but
I think it's ETH gas station.
ETH gas station and Ether.io or something.
Like that, yeah.
There's cryptocurrency is public, so there's a bunch of public calculators and information that you can access and get information real time. So that's one of the beauties of cryptocurrencies. Everything is public. Not one financial institution holds, all the marbles. So now you can go ahead and access and read all the information you need to obtain.
And if you're just buying on something like Coinbase or Robinhood, you don't have to worry about gas fees. Gas fees, basically any transaction on the blockchain costs gas to do. But when you're buying when you're investing or buying on Coinbase, Robinhood, typically there's no fees. If you want to send it to an external wallet, there will be fees with that. With the recent upgrade to Ethereum, making it proof of stake, the fees are a lot less than what they were. This time last year, it would cost me $1,000 to process one transaction buying an NFT if it was busy enough. Thankfully, that's no longer the case. But it's just something to keep in mind if you're looking currently to use the Ethereum or Bitcoin network. Blockchains like Flow have very little to no gas fees. There's a lot of forward-facing companies that will take the cost of that transaction just for you buying one of their NFTs or using their service.
I want to circle back on something that Eric mentioned earlier about the Snoop Dogg video with the NFT. Ilya, what is the current and future use cases in the music and entertainment space when it comes to cryptos, NFTs, decentralization?
Yeah, so a lot of artists are, for example, we just discussed this, selling tickets as NFTs. There's a lot of use cases where even merchandise can be bought through kind of NFTs, which is really, really great. What NFTs, I'm going to just say Web3 has done. I don't want to say NFTs specifically, just in case I say something wrong here. He's going to correct me. But I think what Web3 has done is allowed artists to become closer with their patrons now. Instead of going through somebody like a large record company or an entertainment business that then processes the transactions and does whatever, you're able to actually directly sell to your patrons, which is really, really awesome. And I have experienced indirectly with a lot of my artist friends that are now creating works of art and selling them directly to their patrons and their supporters, which is really awesome. Because crypto is decentralized and direct, you're actually, when you buy something, from an artist or a creator, that money and that cryptocurrency is going directly to their wallet. It doesn't go through a bank. It doesn't go through a record label. They don't take their cut. It goes directly to the artist, and that is amazing. So now you have these artists that were actually making music. You buy that $1 track, and I have actually bought a $1 NFT piece of music. That whole dollar minus the fees we just talked about goes directly to the artist, which is dope. When you buy it through Apple Music or whatever the other providers are, they're taking 95% of the cut, so they get 5 cents. As you can see, there's a huge difference. $1 is probably not going to change a whole lot of people's lives, but you multiply that by 1 million, and that's significant, right? So what's really cool is Web3 has changed the landscape of how artists and patrons interact, how they then use that to drive the next level of their shows and their entertainment business is a different question, though. And so what you can do, we can start doing now, which is really cool, is I bought that NFT. They have a record of these NFTs, and now if say I was the artist, I can actually airdrop free music to all these people that have that in their wallet, which is something that you're not able to do through this traditional model. So you have these really, really cool things you can start doing now. We were just talking about members-only shows, for example. If you come with your Bored Ape Yacht Club ape, and they throw a party, you now show that as your membership or your entrance to a party. I think that's really cool. You get some sort of additional perks and benefits, maybe an extra bottle at the club or something like that, right? Or maybe an extra yacht.
Not yet.
So I think if you think about it that way, this whole space or this technology has the ability to transform artists a way that they interact with patrons. I think that is the most inspiring thing with this whole technology.
So, sorry, just to add to that, I mean, let's look at the ecosystem right now. We have big record labels like Sony and all these other guys taking 95+% of the revenue. So now, when it comes to NFTs and being able to directly pay the artist and content creator, it incentivizes people to create content now. You get paid a lot more, which means more content, more creativity, more innovation, more disruption. So that's why I highly support that, bringing back the power to the creator rather than the record label.
It's funny, we're talking about just supporting artists. I came across a random article from a local newspaper in like Columbus, Ohio or something about 2 brothers who made NFTs to raise money for something. It was a small little article, and so I Googled, I went to the NFT marketplace I use and I looked up their names, and I found they actually had some NFTs for sale. There was like only 10 of them each. One collection was like a comic strip, and the other was just random drawings by a kid that seemed to be pretty young. It wasn't great art, in a, subjective way, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to support these kids just because I happened to come across this. I think it cost 0.1 ETH, and their mom actually tracked me down from their, because this is all public, this is all on the blockchain. They saw that they got money from somebody buying their NFT, and they're like, who bought this? So they found my public address, and with their Google search, they found my Twitter account, and the mom just reached out saying like, do we know you? Are you a family friend? Like, this NFT has been sitting here a while. And I'm like, no, I just came across a news article and thought it'd be cool to own this. And they, thanked me very much and offered to like make me a pie if I was ever in Columbus, Ohio. And that was it. And it was really cool to see, because I've spent lots of Ethereum on just bogus baloney NFTs, and being able to spend a little bit of Ethereum and really kind of make someone's day was fun, and added to that community and the feeling of like, you're part of something good.
Should have told them to make you a Pi NFT.
Exactly, yeah.
Able to like directly interact with content creators, right? Essentially cutting out middlemen.
Well, like I said, I think there's also those benefits that you get because you're able to track addresses because it's public information on the blockchain. You're able to do a lot more. For example, Dirty Bird, which is a record label, has actually, I bought the Dirty Birds, and if you have 5, they give you some sort of perk at the barbecues that they hold. They have festivals and shows, but they also give you like a Thanksgiving Dirty Bird too as well. So it's cool. You get extra bonus material and stuff, and you have these addresses that are publicly available. So you have to think about this whole world now differently. It's not about just this technology that you get like a picture. You really have to understand that you're giving people a lot more access, and you're giving them. It's all about what you give them now with this technology.
And it opens up the door for ownership of things in the real world as well. Like, for example, have any of you engaged in any sort of aspect of real estate as it relates to like NFTs or cryptos?
So there's a thing that I was working on at Binance actually called soulbound tokens, which is basically an NFT, which is essentially you can't move it out of the wallet. So with soulbound tokens, you can think about it as possibly putting a lot of information for real estate onto an NFT, and that's you can't move it off of whatever wallet that you have, for example. So you can actually do that and actually put records on NFTs as well. I was just thinking about soulbound tokens because they're bound to something, whereas NFTs you can also do that too as well.
Good.
Okay. So we talked about a lot of benefits, a lot of good things, right? About having decentralization, deregulation, person A to person B. So to play devil's advocate, I mean, what about money laundering? What about the purchase of drugs, the sale of weapons? That can very much occur when it comes to buying. Mafia boss A buys NFT for $1 million, sells it to mafia boss B, buys it from the exchange, and cleans the money from there. So when it comes to that, I think there's pros and cons. Obviously, deregulation, no enforcement. It's the Wild West out there. You can do anything. I mean, you don't even have to have any of the blockchain on the ledger. You just exchange a USB drive, meet up the guy in the parking lot, whatever. So when it comes to, there's a lot of high-risk areas that I feel regulation and the government might tackle down on, and that is one of the biggest risks. I think Jeff can also agree when it comes to regulation and the tax code and all that. Regulation can destroy it. You never know. So always keep that in mind whenever you're also investing in crypto and NFTs and all that. If it's harming humanity, the government will step in.
I think it's important to realize that technology is kind of neutral. It provides both benefits, and then there's always downsides, right? And especially innovative technologies, blockchain being one of them. So it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing, or necessarily even that's a good thing. I think blockchain has the capacity to change the world, whether for good or for bad. Is in humanity's hands, so to speak. Sorry to get too deep, but I think a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, and good and bad, obviously subjective. So kind of ties in with deregulation. Who determines what's good or bad? It depends. So that's why it's beautiful. It's really beautiful how innovative and how expansive the blockchain universe can become.
So given that, how do you guys feel about regulatory bodies starting to kind of crack down? Whether it's SEC's lawsuit against Ripple, if it's the IRS subpoenaing documents from various exchanges.
So the the IRS, obviously, for example, is taking information. We as investors don't realize that, okay, we are trading on Coinbase, for example, but Coinbase is submitting transactions to the IRS. If it's a requirement, it is a requirement. There's also a new rule that the IRS introduced that if you transfer more than $10,000 worth of crypto out of your exchange, then you'll pretty much have to explain what you did if you're audited. So that's one of the things that the government is doing to either catch certain things that are going on off the chain, like using wallet addresses. But I also feel that there is a tax law that will go away. For example, the wash sale rule. Like for example, in stocks, if you buy a stock, you sell it and buy it back within 30 days, you cannot claim that loss against a gain. That's not applicable with crypto, but I feel that's going to change, because for how many years will the government actually ignore? I'm not trying to say this, on record just for the government to change the law. I don't like it. I don't want that to happen, but it will happen because, in a way, tax loss harvesting can be done significantly here. Like, I know all the investors are going to hate me for saying this, but it is what it is. Like, that's one of the rules that I feel will change. And when it comes to tracking down transactions, they will track down every on-chain exchange that's available in the country. But this is more like a global concept. So there needs to be a common regulatory body that works on an international level. Yeah.
So another question that came up with the RCPs is how does someone address their tax compliance when it comes to NFTs, cryptos, mining?
So when it comes to NFTs, it is complicated because essentially you're buying your Ethereum, for example, on a place like Coinbase, and then you're sending it to a wallet. Then you link that wallet with a platform like OpenSea, and then buy the NFT. So you have to keep a track of your cost basis of the Ethereum when you bought it, and then you have to keep note of how much you sold that NFT for. Then record the cost basis of the ETH that comes in. There's a lot going on, so I would recommend instead, if you don't want to track it, there's two options. For NFTs, there's NFT Bank that does a decent job by just tax reporting. But if not, you also will need to hire a professional that actually knows about the crypto space and is able to track all your transfers for you. When it comes to DeFi, similar issues. Like, you're dealing with off-the-chain transactions. So there's a lot of these scam tokens or just tokens that do not even have a lot of information on it. So to track all of this stuff, you actually need a professional that will sit there and just track all your transactions, keep a note of everything, and you do your trading. That's all I can recommend on my end.
I mean, really, you didn't say this, Avi, but the short answer is call Avi.
Yeah, well, it is required though, because think about it from an investor's point of view. If I'm trading, and I'm buying tokens, and I'm buying every token available, for example, that's very cheap in value, and suddenly it loses liquidity. There's no more demand, there's no more supply in the market, and I don't know what to do with it. So I need a professional who can actually help me either claim a loss. For example, if a token loses liquidity, how can you actually claim a loss on it? You burn the token. You send it to a burn address. A burn address is created by the token companies when they reject the product, or they just don't continue in operations.
To trigger a taxable
Exactly.
event. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I just wanted to add, I mean, there's good and bad things when it comes to regulation. I mean, good things, I mean, we have professional services when it comes to crypto tax regulations and all that compliance. And I slightly support it just because regulation acts as a deterrence for people in order to not scam people and, not sort of overstep their boundaries and not report taxes and all that. I mean, why does the IRS want to collect income taxes in order to fund government? So when it comes to strict regulation, they will track that down eventually. All that information is public. The IRS has access to the public information, right? So they'll figure out the lines. If not now, 10 years from now, I mean, what the statute of limitations is unlimited, right, on fraud. So if not today, 10 years from now. So be very, very compliant. Be aware and compliant when it comes to crypto tax and regulation and compliance. And I also don't support it in a way because I'm trying to act very open-ended as well, because whenever there's too much regulation, it takes away room from innovation. People are less willing to come up with new ideas because they're scared about the regulation that's going to occur. So good and bad, I think a good medium of both is needed in order to protect investors, but also fund the government from the income tax collection.
Do you guys feel that there's currently enough regulation, or that there should be more or less?
There should be a lot more. because, like, for example, the governments need to start tracking locations for investors as soon as possible, because me sitting here, I can literally open a wallet, like, and transfer some Ethereum on it if it's purchased overseas, and just trade on a DeFi platform. No one's going to know which country am I actually making this money in. Like, if you're working with a DeFi platform, you're pretty much, off the chain. So, generally on-chain platforms refer to Coinbase, and off-chain transactions are generally DeFi platforms that work with using MetaMask and wallets like that. So there's no track of it, essentially. And also, when you say that anyone can track a wallet address, I don't know if that's in all cases, because maybe you were referring to an ENS. Your name was linked to an ENS.
Yeah, mostly Ethereum. I think
Right.
it's very public, and
Right.
I mean, I don't know the source.
Uh-huh.
Like, if I don't have a reference point,
Mhm.
I have no idea who it is. But
Okay.
if someone says, this is my wallet, I can look at their wallet and then see where all their Ethereum has
Right,
gone.
exactly. So when, for example, if you buy an ENS, like, it's a naming service that can give your wallet a name. Like, for example, if I buy an ENS, it'll probably be obby.eth. Now using this, I don't need the paraphrase to use my wallet address, and if I want to send tokens, I just use obby.eth. That's how anyone can know who this person is. But if I don't buy the ENS and I use a regular wallet, no one can trace me. So being anonymous is good in the crypto space. It is one of the perks, but I feel that it comes with a lot of freedom that should be controlled by the government today.
So what's the incentive of buying an ENS?
It just makes it easier for you to transfer tokens. So, for example, if I want to transfer tokens, for example, to you, and you buy an ENS called Jeff.eth, I don't need your, the character that's required, the address. It's lengthy. I don't need to remember it. I don't need to tell you to send it to me. I just type in your ENS, that's Jeff.eth, and I can send it to you pretty much.
Yeah, because an Ethereum address is typically, 24 digits?
Yeah.
So, like, normally, and that's where a lot of user error comes in this space is anytime you're making a transaction, you got to have the 24 character address that you want to send it to, and it's just random numbers and letters. It's very confusing. I've sent money to the wrong address by switching an I with a 1. But yeah, an ENS address shortens it, kind of like a web domain. And a web domain or a website is an IP address, but we go into Google and type in www.whatever to make it easier. An ENS address is basically that. It's like a Twitter handle, or it's like an email address. You can choose just whatever set of characters .eth instead of like .com, and use that as a way to make it easier and to know exactly that which address you're sending to.
That was the purpose of ENS, for example, right? He said that you can send it to a wrong address and lose all your money. So instead of that, you replace that with a name. Well, but I still feel that, again, getting back to your question, regulation is something that I feel is very minimal at the moment. But if you compare it with international standards, the US is way ahead of the game in terms of regulations. They have got hold of a lot of things that, missing gaps that people call it, by implementing the rule that if you transfer more than $10,000 worth of crypto from one platform to the other, they might send you an audit notice, or you need to have supporting documents for it. That's the best thing they could do. Not many countries have realized that that's where most of the tax evasion happens. So I feel the US over there is a step ahead.
So, sorry, I just wanted to add one thing. What Eric mentioned, that you said the letter I mixed up with the letter 1. Okay, so pro tip: some good crypto hygiene. What I would recommend, if you're about to make a transaction, sell it from point A to point B, try sending $1 first. If it goes through, great. Now send the rest, basically. So not investment advice, but I highly recommend just starting off with $1, because your max limitation is $1. And if it goes through, fantastic. You just have your proof of concept. Now you go forward. Please, if you could take that one thing away, I highly recommend it. It just breaks my heart when people lose money over stupid things like the wrong address or the wrong platform. Like there's ERC versus the other type. There's Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin. So be very careful. Start with $1 and then go with the rest.
Excellent point. I'm curious, did that come from something that happened, or you just already knew ahead of time?
Just good advice.
It's happened to me tons of times.
Me too.
Yeah, be very careful. Yeah.
We learn from our mistakes. Nothing wrong with that. This came up a few times, DeFi, or decentralization. Can you guys describe that a little bit for our audience?
Sure. I mean, so just the basics about DeFi is that decentralized financial platforms. So basically, they allow you to use the DeFi products, they call it, like for example, P2P trading, peer-to-peer trading. Like I can buy, for example, a Bitcoin. I don't need to buy it from an exchange like Coinbase. There might be a seller on the other side, and I'm me being the buyer. I can literally make that transaction using a DeFi platform. But there's also other products that DeFi platforms provide, like Uniswap is a platform. You can basically swap tokens, stake tokens. You do something like yield farming. There's a lot of these investment tools that come with DeFi, which are very complicated. I personally learned it while assisting clients with their taxes, and pretty much what happens is they come to me with what they are doing in terms of investments and check with me for the tax advice, and that's how I learned what it is. So maybe you guys want to touch base on what exactly DeFi products are, and what exactly do they do?
DeFi stands for decentralized finance. It's the Lego blocks of finance, basically. So let's say you're going to a bank. That's traditional finance, TradFi. CFI, you would have a replacement in the crypto world for that. If you wanted to take out some money, you'd go for decentralized exchange, for example. Take out your money, swap it there. So you can actually roll your own economy with all these Lego blocks by using various replacements in traditional finance.
Thank you. Now I want to go to just a takeaway, right? Your collective knowledge amongst the four of you. You could probably talk about this stuff for hours, days straight, nonstop. Right? There's just so much in the space. If you could just summarize just maybe like one key takeaway, whatever it is, and we'll just kind of just go down the line for our audience and viewers. Abi?
So for me, I would obviously go with the tax takeaway. What is a taxable event is something that everyone should know. Anytime you sell a token, it's a taxable event. If you're transferring tokens from one platform to the other, it's not a taxable event. If you're exchanging one token for another, that's Ethereum to Bitcoin, you're still selling your Ethereum, so that's a taxable event. Keep track of all your transactions. If you're getting into crypto, keep track of your wallet addresses. Try buying an ENS that we spoke about. It's just easier for you to transfer money or transfer cryptos. And keep downloading your transaction history across all platforms because they delete it. Yes, they do. It's not like a bank that you can go in and pull your bank statements for all time. That's not the case. For example, I'm not going to take names of platforms, but I know of a platform that has deleted customer data, which now the customer cannot even file their taxes, and if they're audited, they don't have any supporting documents anymore. So keep downloading your transaction exports every 6 months or every 3 months, for example. And that should be my takeaway, like what I would like to give.
We've said a lot of scary things, like people getting scammed and wasting thousands of dollars to send a transaction. That has happened in the past, and it does still happen now. But blockchain technology, me personally, I think Ethereum, it's the next version of the internet. It's scary. It's daunting to get into, but I really do envision a time in the near future where you're interacting with it without even really knowing it and without having these concerns and fears that we have. I mean, kind of like when the internet came around in the 90s, it was just yellow pages and scam emails from, princes. And I think we're kind of in that space now. It's scary. A lot of people ask, why do we need this? It just makes life easier. Maybe not yet, but I think it really will.
You could have said the same thing for internet. Why do you need internet 10, 20 years ago, right?
Why do I need to buy a book off of Amazon when I can just go to the library or the Borders, which doesn't exist anymore? It just becomes, it seems strange now, just like the internet seemed strange back then. And we'll either love it or leave it.
I think that leads me to my takeaway, which is it's an infrastructure. To think about this stuff as an infrastructure. People come up to me and go, yo, what do I invest in today? And I go, I actually don't know because I don't do day-to-day investing, nor do I even really invest that much, to be honest with you. But I do think about this stuff as an infrastructure. and I was kind of half joking, but people were thinking about the internet like this cool thing that we send emails back and forth. Like, how great could that be, right? This is where we're at now. Think about this as an infrastructure. Think about this as a way to communicate with people. Think about the artists that I talked about, how it may be possible to sell tickets or shows or merchandise, or now get your works of art out, connect with people. I think when you start thinking about this technology in that respect, the conversation is completely different now. Rather than just buying a couple of tokens, like which one's the next one, man? I actually don't know. I don't think anybody knows. That's the secret also. That's another takeaway. I'll give you 2 takeaways. Actually, nobody knows what they're doing here.
Mafia knows.
So I think, but really think about this as an infrastructure technology, and think about how it is changing people's lives. And from that, you will really understand where to maybe invest, so to speak.
And one or two takeaways I can say. It's more about crypto investing. One of the reasons why people want to invest in crypto is to make money, right? So, you guys, have you heard of the HODL mentality? It was like a meme a few years ago. Someone spelled hold incorrectly. They were drunk or something, and now people are aware of the HODL mentality, but it basically means hold down the fort, do not sell your crypto. All right, now let's be
Diamond
real.
hands,
all that stuff. I mean, let's be real. Do you think the top 1% is following that HODL mentality? No. I would also recommend don't follow the herd. Don't be part of the herd. Don't do what your neighbor's doing. Think about yourself first. Think about your money first. Think about your livelihood. What's riding on that investment? Once you hit your metrics, leave the casino. Why would you keep staying and hodling and bleeding money dry? Have loss limitations. Exit when you need to. Enter when you need to. Prices go up. Prices go down. I mean, Bitcoin was 8K in March or November of 2020. Hit 64, 65K. Now it's back to 15. Don't FOMO. There's always areas to enter in, exit. Just be very careful with your investment. And yeah, just don't follow the herd. Don't FOMO.
And be sure to file your taxes.
Yes.
So I think it's safe to say the rhetorical question, if you answer it now, what's on the horizon in the space is a lot. That this is not going away. And the naysayers from 10 years ago, or the naysayers from even like 3 years ago, this is not a fad. It's here to stay. Right? We're gonna cut off there. We are gonna have we have a catered reception that I invite everyone to partake in. You're welcome to pick all the panelists' brains out there. But I want to thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.